vaccine passports are a passport of tyranny. Of? I'm probably the only person hanging on this stupid shit. Of tyranny? Passport to tyranny. Passport to tyranny. Right? Of? What the? Of? Just aggravating. Yeah, he's gross. But let's all listen to his warning because none of us know how dangerous it is.
Conservatives and Republicans are in an uproar over the Biden administration's plan to develop vaccine passports.
Okay, so the Biden administration's plan to develop vaccine passports. Remember that phrase because it's going to, I have a feeling it's going to be important.
Vaccine passports. Now,
oh, he said vaccine passports already. So
the idea of a vaccine passport is, related to the idea of a passport itself.
Oh, I see. All right. So it's a passport, you're saying. Fucking hell.
Passport gives you permission to do things. It gives you permission to go places.
No, it doesn't. It's an ID that if borders will not allow people without identification to come through, it provides that necessary identification. A passport is not permission to travel. A passport is necessary to travel because the people at the borders or at companies that would take the passports or countries that would take the passports, they cannot let you in if you don't have proper identification. You know, it's kind of like voter ID or something. I don't know.
It gives you permission to enter.
No, it doesn't. Passports don't give you permission. A visa gives you permission, dickhead.
Enter. And
it doesn't give you passport. God damn, this is dumb. It doesn't give you permission to enter. Not even close. Thank you. Paul's in Europe. He knows.
Without a passport, you can't.
Without a passport, you can't because you don't have identification to show whether you're a citizen or not, or where you're coming from, or in fact, if you're going to try and stay or any of that. They don't know who the shit you are. You might need a diaper change.
Now, most Americans, interestingly enough, don't have passports.
We're not proud.
Why? Because this is a free country.
Yeah, that's why. You don't have a passport. It's not because we're lazy and we don't travel, and a vast majority of Americans can't afford foreign travel at all. I mean, not all of us can be Ted Cruz. Think of the weight we'd have to gain.
Should be able to move around and travel in the country and do business and go on vacation without somebody asking you to, quote, produce your papers.
That's because we're in our own fucking country. That's true of every goddamn country. We do have driver's licenses, though, and they are related to the state that we live in. Does that... Oh, right, sorry.
That's almost something that you see in third world countries.
No, it isn't. Third world countries do not have papers, please laws. They don't give a shit. That's what makes them a third world country. They don't give a fuck where you're from.
Countries where sort of authentication is a prerequisite to being able to even function normally in your ordinary life.
Yeah, you mean like driver's licenses or voter IDs. Like if you want to just, you've got the right to vote. And it's terrible if somebody would want you to have to produce papers or an ID. I'm having this lad, man. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm.
By and large, we haven't had to do that in this country.
State IDs, state driver's licenses, college IDs, key cards to get into businesses, by and large.
Now, very interestingly, the people who are pushing vaccine passports.
They are pushing vaccine passports. They're pushing, don't forget, they're pushing it. So, okay.
For Americans. Are the
For Americans.
Same people who don't want voter ID. These
are they now?
The same people who don't want identification and proper procedures at the border. So they're loose with the border, and they're loose with voting, but evidently they want all Americans to show.
Well, I don't know that of anybody who's ever died from catching border. Just saying.
Proof of vaccination in the form of this kind of either government issued or government coordinated.
Well, that would kind of be an important distinction, wouldn't it? Government issued or government coordinated, meaning that companies or other countries are requiring it, therefore the government is coordinating with making it possible for you to have one, versus one that's ordained or mandated by the government or made available. There's actually 3 tiers in this. You must have it to do all things. You must have it to do some things. You might need it for all things, or you might need it for some things, and therefore we'll provide it to you if you do need it, but it's not mandatory.
Passport. Now, for me,
Is it a passport, though?
the idea of a vaccine passport brings up some sort of chilling historical.
Paul Newman, thank you. I've tried to tell you to think about it, but YouTube don't let. We all love Hal. Thanks so much, and thank you to our European allies who sadly will be staring down the barrel of our evil vaccine passports when we come visit you very soon. I'm coming to Italy. I'm coming to Scotland. I'm gonna get over there. I'm gonna get up into the Northern European countries as well. I'm gonna go to Sweden and Norway. I'm set on it.
Historical parallels. When I was filming Death of a Nation a couple of years ago,
Yeah, you mean, didn't the country die though?
I was in Germany, in Munich,
And yeah, Germany's dead. I don't even. Is it still there? Is Germany still there?
there's this huge plaza. It's called the Odeonplatz. 4 gigantic lions. I'll put up a little clip in a moment so you can
Yeah, put up the clip so we can see it. I don't believe you. 4 giant lions. What kind of bullshit is this?
see. This was a major Nazi checkpoint.
All right. So you had to go visit it? Did you come?
Take a look.
He's playing Hitler in the background while he's looking at the...
So this is just
Why didn't you play the whole thing? Hitler was just starting to get interesting. What?
an image here of these
Oh, I'm coming to England as well, Catherine.
4 lions, and the Nazis used this as a spot, a kind of central location to check everybody.
What'd they check them for?
And of course, they had special mechanisms for checking the Jews. They
Well, yeah, they had actually a speculum rubber gloves.
wanted the Jews to be identified so they could then be segregated into ghettos, their rights denied.
Yeah, like vaccine ghettos. They checked all the Jews for a polio shot on their arm, right? That was what it was.
And so on.
That's how they knew.
And so this is the historical backdrop of this notion of marking, identifying, tattooing, and you may say passporting citizens.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't actually. I would say branding. It's quite different.
Not traveling between one country and another, but within the country itself. I think the reason that Americans are concerned and even outraged about this is it is
Am I concerned or am I outraged? I guess I'm more outraged.
such a preposterous
Concert raged. I'm gonna go to a raging concert. Ooh, remind me not to forget my my passport, my vaccine passport, so I can go to the raging concert.
overreaction to the COVID
Thanks, JP202. I do like it.
situation as it is now.
Yeah.
Think
No.
about it. The risk
Okay.
of dying from COVID today in pretty much any age group, and this is without being vaccinated, is essentially less than 1%. It is infinite.
No, it is not. It is not infinitely less than 1%. Because we were locked down for a fucking year, dumbass. If you let it roll, you're talking about 2.5 to 5 million dead people and a constant rolling number of that, like the flu. Because if you never vaccinate against it and it just keeps rolling through the society, you look at whereas the flu kills 70,000 people or less a year, we're talking about 2.5 to 5 million people killed every fucking year. It's like this whole like schools haven't been a major place where the transmission has happened. Yeah, because they've been closed for the most part, dummy.
Infinitesimal. You have a 99% chance of survival, and that's without being vaccinated. Now, let's imagine a situation.
Which is, by the way, for the record, according to Dinesh's statistics, which I'll just, for the sake of debate, I'll cop to that they're real for the argument. You have buying a gun raises your chance of dying by that gun astronomically. So while Dinesh is making this an anti-vaccine passport diatribe, this should not be lost on anyone that this also qualifies as an anti-gun debate that he is making right now. He is saying whatever you do, statistically speaking, don't buy a gun because your chances of being killed with it, killed by a gun go up astronomically if you own one. And so therefore, don't buy a gun according to Dinesh D'Souza. Thanks, Dinesh. Go ahead.
Situation where somebody is not vaccinated and they want to travel on an airplane or they want to go into a store. Now,
no one's saying that about stores.
First of all, no one is saying that private companies like a private store couldn't
because that's what's actually happening. Okay.
Say, hey, listen, you have to wear a mask if you come into our store, but if you can show proof of vaccination of any form, then you don't have to wear a mask. We're not.
So football games and concerts and all that kind of shit, and that's exactly right. But so a laminated plastic copy of your vaccine card would be really helpful, or maybe a digital one you can hold on your phone that's verifiable, like a QR code that you can track it using your healthcare plan, not maybe a government site, but your own healthcare plan might give you a QR code that says, yes, you indeed have been vaccinated. They've verified it, so you don't just lie and say, I don't want to wear a mask. Yeah, I was vaccinated.
We're not objecting to the private sector taking individual decisions of this kind.
You mean like airplanes? Like all airlines? You mean like airlines? So you're not objecting to airlines insisting on people being vaccinated, being able to show it via some sort of, I don't know, documentation they carry with them, but making everybody else wear a mask if they don't have said documentation, or flat out saying you can't come in. You're not against that? Because I'm gathering from the beginning of this bullshit that you're kind of against this. And by the way, somebody just said it in the chat room, and I said this 2 days ago, and I've been talking about this, yes. Cruise ships, Lisa Jordan, absolutely. This is all about cruise ships. That's why Florida is having such a hard time arguing against it, because cruise ships, you're gonna need a fucking vaccine card. If they could have a vaccine card for diarrhea, they would have it. So
what we're objecting to is sort of the government's idea that, hey, if you don't have a vaccine passport, you shouldn't be able to do normal things. And
well, Dinesh, Booby, you don't do normal things. So I don't know what you're worried about.
Say, why not? Why shouldn't you be able to do normal things? You might say,
like, what? Define normal.
Well, that's because you have a risk of transmitting the disease to someone else. Yeah, but if vaccines are widely available, and if every American is free to take and get a vaccine, what's there to complain about? There might be
because they haven't gotten it yet, and for a good portion of time, this would not be forever, obviously. But until the pandemic is under control, and it's going to be, the rest of the world is going to be dealing with it for a long time, and let's say you don't get the vaccine, you're like, screw it, but you like to go, I don't know, shoot exotic animals in the head while they're staked down in Kenya, and they haven't gotten the vaccine, has reached any kind of permeate level in Africa, and you bring it back and you kill members of your fucking family. That would be the concern. I mean,
be people who are exposed, but they're the people who have chosen not to take the vaccine. They're willing to take that risk. Why should the...
Yeah, but you're not taking a risk. You're spreading a risk. Just because the risk of dying of it for you might be low, and it might not be. That's the other fucked up part, is that a bunch of these assholes, before they say goodbye to their family, are like, tell everybody I was an asshole for not believing this was dangerous.
Should the government step in and protect them from their own choices?
No, protect other people from their own choices. You're not protecting that asshole. I don't give a fuck. If you want to die of it, that's your ass. But you could carry it to someone else. Asymptomatic transfer is the primary way it gets around. That's how the death toll spikes up to 2.5 to 5 million uncontrolled. How fucking honestly?
It's very clear that this vaccine passport is a mechanism of social control. Here,
No, it isn't. It is a mechanism of pandemic control. And I would like to point out where it is. Here it goes. This is from the New York Times, and this is what he's, all these guys are citing, by the way. Coming soon, the vaccine passport. In the near future, travel may require digital documentation showing that passengers have been vaccinated or tested for the coronavirus. Answers to your questions. Among governments, plural, wait a minute, there are other countries besides America? What? If I'm American, I don't have to answer to other governments when I fly in. I just go, fuck you, Spain, I'm here. And those in the travel industry, a new term has entered the vocabulary, vaccine passport. One of President Biden's executive orders aimed at curbing the pandemic asks government agencies to assess the feasibility. Wait a minute. This doesn't sound nearly tyrannical enough. I voted for tyranny. And what is this assess the feasibility bullshit? You dictate it, you force people to take it, and if they won't take it, you put them in a goddamn camp. Didn't you see the lions in the Hitler speech? Assess the feasibility of linking, forcing coronavirus vaccine certificates with other vaccination documents and producing digital versions of them. Just like Hitler. Denmark's government, Denmark? Where's Denmark? Is that in Iowa? Said in early February that in the next 3 to 4 months, it will roll out a digital passport that will allow citizens to show that they have been vaccinated. So if you want to go to fucking Denmark, you did it. Okay. It would be nice if your government presented you with the ability to carry something digitally on you that allowed you to go to Denmark. Because Denmark's going to have this rule. And it isn't just governments. Oh, wait a minute. It isn't? That are suggesting vaccine passports. Etihad Airways and Emirates are planning to start using a digital travel pass developed by the International Air Transport Association, clearly a fascist organization started by Himmler, to help passengers manage their travel plans and provide airlines and government documentation that they have been vaccinated or tested for COVID-19. Challenge right now is creating a document or app that is accepted around the world that protects privacy and, that protects privacy. I don't want it to be private that I'm from America. What do you think my eagle tattoo's about? Is accessible to people regardless of their wealth or access to smartphones. So, obviously tyranny. I mean, I don't have to tell you. But please tell us, again, something Nazi lions and horses and something.
here's a guy named Harry Litman. He's an
Oh, shit. Not Harry Lipman. Who's Harry Lipman?
editor of the LA Times.
Oh, he's an editor of the LA Times. I see. Okay.
He kind of spells out the rationale. He goes, vaccine passports are a good idea. Among other things, it will single out the still large contingent of people who refuse vaccines, who will be foreclosed from doing a lot of things their peers can do.
Right. And doing stuff their peers can't do, like spread the fucking measles.
That should help break the resistance down.
Oh, that's what it is. It's about breaking your resistance down. Instead of it being a privilege to go to a concert or something because you've participated in society, it's kind of like at some point, first it'll be vaccine passports. Next thing you know, you'll have to wear shoes and a shirt and pants to go in a business.
So this is what we're getting into. The idea of trying to strong
Yeah, I'm sick of big shoes and big shirt trying to force me to get dressed when I go to the store.
arm people and bully them, cajole them. It's not enough to tell them what the risks are and let them exercise their freedom responsibly.
They're not exercising their freedom responsibly, dickhead. They're abdicating their responsibility. They don't care if they get it or they spread it. So fuck off.
The idea here is to make them.
No, it isn't to make them. It's not to make them. It's to, if they want to do this other shit that the rest of us are doing in a way that is safe and won't kill anyone, then they're going to have to participate in that part. If they don't, if they're the kind of person who would, spread the measles around school, schools have a right to know that their kids are going to bring measles into the school possibly.
This COVID epidemic has been politicized from day one. It's been politicized in a way by the Democrats, but it's been
they're politicizing it. That's what they're doing. We're politicizing it.
Politicized also by the CDC, by the World.
By the Nonpartisan Center for Disease Control.
World Health Organization.
Oh, the clearly Democratic World Health Organization.
So part of the reason we're so resistant to all these measures is we don't trust the establishment.
No, it isn't. It has nothing to do with the fucking establishment. The reason you're not doing it is because you believe some fantastical idea that Satan and the mark of the beast will enter your body through nanobots from vaccines. You're a fucking moron.
We don't trust these institutions. We don't trust the government.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you did. When Trump was running shit, if he told you to put a light bulb up your ass and pour fish tank cleaner down your throat because it's the cheapest form of hydroxychloroquine you could dig up, people lined up to do it. Don't tell me about trusting the government, you culty bastard.
Quite frankly, if Trump had been reelected and Trump said, hey, listen, I've just got this idea for a vaccine passport. It's not going to be a government-run thing, but essentially the basic...
You fuckers would have gotten it tattooed on your forehead.
Basic idea here is that it essentially frees you from other types of restrictions, like mask requirements and so on. Most people would have said, well, yeah, that's probably fine. So what I'm getting at here is...
What? What are you getting at?
Frees you from other types...
Hold on.
These institutions. We don't trust the government. Quite frankly, if Trump had been reelected and Trump said, hey, listen, I've just got this idea for a vaccine passport. It's not going to be a government-run thing, but essentially the basic idea here is that it essentially frees you from other types of restrictions, like mask requirements and so on. Most people would have said, well, yeah, that's probably fine. So what I'm getting at here is I think that a lot of the...
That's exactly what the Biden administration and Denmark and airlines and cruise ships are talking about. What the fuck?
Anxiety about the vaccine passport is who's doing it.
I see. So if Trump had, again, we don't trust the government unless Trump is running it, in which case, if he'd have said it was for this and it's exactly like what they're saying it is, we would trust it. By the way, these are the same assholes who are not taking the vaccine because they think it's going to put demonic nanobots in your bloodstream, which of course it does, because Trump invented it.
We're living at a time where we don't trust basic institutions. We don't trust...
No, we aren't. We are not. We are not. I trust basic institutions. And so do you. Because wherever the fuck he shoots this nonsense, I guarantee he's driven in the last week, and he trusted that every other driver would stay on the other side of the yellow line. He didn't drive around in a fucking panic the entire time going, I don't trust any of these assholes. Like, what kind of fidgety dickhead are you in every circumstance? Do you trust stop signs? Do you trust stop lights? Do you trust the freeway system and cloverleafs? Yeah, sure. It says it's going east, but clearly it's asking me to go west. Like, what the hell?
We don't trust academia. Why? Because it's indoctrination. We don't
trust academia because it's indoctrination. Meanwhile, everybody that they're bringing on is supposedly an expert, and the dude that, because they have degrees, and the dude that Mike Lindell used yesterday is a physics teacher.
Trust the media. Why? Because it's not news. It's ideologically spun opinion. We don't trust...
Dude, you are the media. This is media. You're on YouTube.
Hollywood. We don't trust the...
By the way, you know how you can tell that someone is buying supporters, buying followers for their channel, or they become part of a network that buys followers and basically automatically attaches those followers? This is how you can tell. 603,000 subscribers. I'm just saying, thumbs up, like, subscribe. What do I have to do? But 11,608 views. Over 500,000 subscribers, 11,000 people actually watched this reach around.
the FBI. Why? Because they're not meting out equal justice under the law. This is
Yeah, they let Trump get away with a ton of shit.
politically motivated prosecutions. And so for the same reason, we don't trust the Biden administration. Why? Because
he's a Democrat and his VP's a brown woman.
the vaccine passport for them isn't just about the vaccine. It isn't just about protecting you.
It's about feasibility studies.
Ultimately a form of social control.
90 million people.
Christ, that's boring.